It's back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes! Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes, is going for it.
Oh my God! What a goal! And that will do it! One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3-2.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. Well, now you guys have had a couple days now to digest the home opener on Saturday against Minnesota United. And look, this is something that I talked about, and I'm sure I bring up her name multiple times throughout this episode, but this is something I talked about last episode with Kendra D. St. Albin, Minnesota United's play-by-play voice, where the Philadelphia Union's history, they haven't really started hot on home openers. And yet again, the trend continues this past Saturday against Minnesota United. I saw a lot of people on social media just buying into the hype of this team, which, I think is very warranted. But just say, I expect the Philadelphia Union to go into the home opener and beat a good Minnesota United team. I think that was asking for way too much. I think a point's very, very good for the Philadelphia Union, but I think a lot of people probably aren't going to be happy with a point. And I think part of that is because you see 7 out of the 14 home teams get points this weekend, get 3 points. But then I can flip that, and 7 out of 14 of the away teams got points on the road this week 1. You had 5 away teams get draws, and you had 2 away teams get wins. So we talk about it all the time in MLS, where it's so important to go on the road and get a point. And how many of you guys, this week we had Montreal, we're going away to Montreal. How many of you guys are going to say, I'd take a point in Montreal? Now, I think a lot of us last year, and I won't talk about the Montreal game too much, but last year we were disappointed taking a point in Montreal because it looked like we were going to get all 3 points after a sloppy game. And Montreal, near the dying embers of the game, send in a cross, center backs get beat, and they tie the game up. But we'll talk about that game on the next episode. This episode, we're just going to talk about Minnesota and the Philadelphia Union. And I don't know, I think for me personally, the most surprising game over the weekend was New York Redbulls winning that game 3-1 against San Jose. I mean, I talked about it. People were talking about it on social media before the season started that New York Redbulls hadn't done enough. And even New York Redbulls head coach were saying, I expected us to do a lot more before the season started. And I saw today that New York Redbulls have signed Ashley Fletcher, who's a striker for Watford, on loan, which they can make that deal permanent. I believe Ashley Fletcher was with Middlesbrough, and I want to say, I don't want to say West Ham. Maybe it was with West Ham at one time. I can't remember. I just literally just saw that on Twitter, and so going off the top of my head, the 2 teams that he played for. But New York Redbulls going into San Jose winning 3-1. Hearing that the San Jose fans were not happy at all. I did not watch that game, but I did watch the Chicago Fire and Inter Miami game, which for all you people that did not watch that game, you did not miss much. I will tell you that right here. I wanted to see Shaqiri's debut. I wanted to see Kacper's debut for Chicago Fire, even though I feel like a lot of you guys are like, I don't care about Kacper. I don't care what he does. Well, I guess you guys that are listening that did not watch that game, Kacper had like 1 or 2 chances. He had a 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, kicked it right at the goalie. Probably should have scored. He was 1-on-1 again. I think at one point, Chicago Fire earlier in the game forced a turnover, played the ball to Kacper. The goalie either made a save or Kacper hit wide. I think he hit wide. But then the second chance he got, he hit it straight at the goalie in a 1-on-1 situation. And I know a lot of people that are listening to me explain that are like, that's typical Kacper. We don't miss that at all. But look, I think there's a lot I can say about Kacper. I don't want to make this episode about Kacper, so I'm not going to say much about Kacper. But to see Chicago Fire go down to Miami where it was extremely hot, Shaqiri looked like, what did I get myself into? It's this hot in February down in Florida. Thank goodness I'm playing in Chicago, right? But I don't know. I've never been to Chicago. People say Chicago can get pretty hot in the summertime, I think. MLS as a whole is going to be a huge eye-opener for Shaqiri. Diop, the goalkeeper from Miami, had a really good save on Shaqiri, who looked like he was potentially going to score 30 yards out. Goalie reads the ball really well, makes a good save. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Shaqiri plays in MLS this season. I think, he had moments of the game against Miami where he looked very, very good, where you saw that, wow, like this guy is an incredible player. He played some ridiculous balls over the top to split the defense of Miami. And unlucky that his teammates couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. But I think, just getting him used to his teammates, getting him used to the play of MLS, I think Shaqiri's going to be a decent signing. I think he's going to be a really good signing. I don't know. I mean, a guy who's been a professional since 2008, 2009, I want to say. He's been playing a lot of soccer over the years, and I know he's only 30 years old, but all the injuries he's had, all the mileage he has on his legs, that all adds up. So I think he's going to be a good player. I don't know if he's going to be a great player. Yeah, everybody knows Shaqiri, so he's a superstar in the league, but we all know how superstars play in the league. It doesn't always pan out, but I think he's going to be a good player for Chicago and for MLS. Maybe 4 or 5 goals, 4 or 5 assists. I don't know. Would you guys say that's great superstar numbers? Probably not, but yeah, I think he's going to be good for the league. I think he's going to be good for Chicago Fire. But yeah, just like I said, that New York Red Bull game against San Jose, I thought that was the result of the weekend. Another stat that stands out to me, looking at the games this weekend, you had 4 teams won by 3 or more goals. And I think Philadelphia Union fans are going to be disappointed, where they wanted to see probably more goals, because you see 4 teams in MLS score 3 or plus goals, and you keep the majority of your roster intact. You're at home, where you play good typically over the last couple of years at home, where you're scoring 2 plus goals at home, and only scored 1 goal against Minnesota. But, it was the home opener. And like I said, last episode, like I said earlier in this episode, we all know the Philadelphia Union don't play good on home openers, whether it's opening day on MLS where the Philadelphia Union have to go away, or whether it's the Philadelphia Union's first home game of the season. Both of those, the Philadelphia Union do not play well. But before we talk about this Philadelphia Union versus Minnesota United game, I just want to say I was really happy with the crowd that showed up on a cold February home opener. Shout out to Bros for the fantastic tifo he created at Sunday's game with all the Philadelphia Union's old jerseys. And then the Sons of Ben had the 2 Ukraine flags painted out as tifos. And then I gotta say the big bass drum, that was pretty awesome, and doing the boom boom Union, boom boom Union. Yeah, I thought that was like a really, really good ad by the Philadelphia Union, having Sebastian Ledoux be the first person introducing the bass drum. Yeah, that was fantastic, and I think it's only going to get better, and especially when I watched a video by Mike Barrera, I believe it was. He posted in like half the stadium wasn't even full, and it was so loud doing that chant. So as the warm weather comes, I mean, I think it's going to be an intimidating atmosphere, because I know when I went down to Atlanta last season, and they hit a spike, I believe it is, and they do ATL, I believe that's what it is. Maybe, yeah, it's ATL they spell. And like that was super loud, and there was restrictions in place, so it wasn't a full Mercedes-Benz stadium, but they were inside a dome, so it sounded a lot louder than what it probably was. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was loud, but to hear the Union be as loud as it was on Saturday with an outdoor arena, yeah, that sounded fantastic. And so as the season goes on, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I thought, adding the in-stadium announcer, again, they did that down in Atlanta, and I thought it was pretty cool. Just trying to get people involved, the pregame festivities. I think it's a cool little idea. And then she came out again at halftime while the Union were playing some kind of game. I have no clue what the game was, honestly. Kicking the ball on a tarp. I don't know what the object was of that game, but yeah, it was cool. The only thing I have to complain about that is it was really hard to hear what she was saying. And I think that's due to, one, being seated in the river end. The speakers, you don't really hear what the speakers are saying that good. And two, I don't think the sound system in Subaru Park's all that great. I know the last couple of years I've seen fans complain about that on social media, and talking to fans in the stadium like, man, we got to get better speakers. And I do agree. But yeah, that was a cool ad. But I think before this game even started, not the tifos, not the big bass drum, I think the Mikel Uwa chant was fantastic. It sounded like the whole stadium was doing that. And if you guys aren't familiar with the chant, I strongly suggest you type in on YouTube, you look on Twitter, the Mikel Uwa chant. The Philadelphia Union posted a video of all the fans in the stadium doing that chant, and it was, oh my gosh, like, that was fantastic. And again, just going along with the bass drum, like, the more people that come out to the games, the more people we get involved with the chants. Like, you guys heard what both of those chants sounded like, and the stadium wasn't even full when we did both of those chants. And just imagine getting the whole stadium involved, everybody there early. Like, man, I can't wait. And so obviously, Mikel got introduced to the stadium, got a big round of applause, and I just can't wait to see him get started in a Philadelphia Union's jersey. Hopefully, we get to do his chant a lot this season at home, because it is such a simple chant, but it's really a fantastic chant that the Brøndby fans created, and so glad to see the Philadelphia Union fans just continue that tradition that Brøndby fans created. But on to the game against Minnesota United. Yeah, just overall, I think a point's probably what both teams deserve from this game. It was your typical first game of the season, I thought. And fans are probably wondering why the Philadelphia Union couldn't score 3+ goals. Like I said, probably some fans are angry that the Philadelphia Union didn't win this game, especially when you look and seeing that 4 teams this opening weekend scored 3+ goals. And fans are probably like, well, we know the Philadelphia Union kept the majority of the roster intact. Julian Araujo is in a better system. Why couldn't he score on his debut? And, it's like, I'm not going to overreact. There really isn't a reason to panic. It's like, we should know this by now. I said it before, and I'll keep saying it. We always start the season off slow, especially the first game of the season, whether that's at home or away. And, for my thoughts on the goal, I'll review them in a separate point and try to do that for each review episode, try to break down the play as I see it, try to do that for each goal that the Philadelphia Union score and concede this season, just to kind of give you guys my thoughts on how I saw it. But I do want to give Kevin Kincaid credit for something that he said in one of his recent podcasts, where he said last season the Philadelphia Union lost their cues on when to press because Brenden Aaronson was the first guy to go and attack the ball, and everyone else, after Brenden would press, everyone else would know, okay, well, this is where I need to press. This is the point of attack where I need to go and get after the ball. And he said that they got away from that last season, and I didn't necessarily disagree with Kevin. I thought the Philadelphia Union were still pressing, but he is right, because when Daniel Gazdag first joined the Philadelphia Union, he wasn't being the point of the attack to press. He would press sometimes and not really know the cues when to press, and because I think majority of this roster was used to Brenden Aaronson being the first one to press the ball, then they all would know, okay, this is where I need to be. But because Daniel Gazdag would be hesitant on when to press, when not to press, I think that really did. I think Kevin's right. It did throw off the Philadelphia Union's press last season. But, it was the opposite in my opinion. In the first half, you saw the Philadelphia Union press really well. Daniel Gazdag was leading the point of the press. I think both teams actually overall pressed really well. And Jim was right. Minnesota, they were a really well-organized team. And I think this is what we're going to see a lot of this season at home, where away teams will allow the Union to have possession of the ball and tell the Philadelphia Union, hey, you guys come down and break us down defensively. And I know fans are going to get angry. I know I've talked about it in the past where I say, okay, well, the Philadelphia Union need to get more creative players. And I was happy with Jamiro Monteiro. He's a player that can take on anybody one-on-one and dribbling. Him and Daniel Gazdag just have that cutting-edge pass, but obviously we got rid of Jamiro Monteiro. And so it's like, okay, who's going to be that player that can break down these teams that sit deep and there's just wait to hit us on the counterattack? Could it be Mikael Ua? Could it be Daniel Gazdag? I think it will, but again, it's not time to panic for what we saw in the first game. It's literally the first game of the season. And so I just think as Philadelphia Union fans, this is what we need to get used to. Teams are going to sit back and try to get a point on the road because we all know how valuable points are on the road. And so teams are going to say, look, we respect you enough, Philadelphia Union. We know that you're waiting to hit us on that counterattack, but no, we're going to try to hit you guys on the counterattack. You want to score a goal against us, you got to beat us down defensively. And so just get used to that, I think, Philadelphia Union fans. And, when the Philadelphia Union go on the road, when away teams come to Subaru Park, the Philadelphia Union do the exact same thing on the road. Maybe not as much as some teams that come to Subaru Park, but again, just a point so valuable, and it's just what it is. So it's like, just get used to seeing it. It's going to happen a lot, I think, in my opinion. And just don't panic. That's all I would say. Just really don't panic. And look, I think you saw Minnesota United. They just talking about that counterattack. They hit the Union on a couple counterattacks multiple times during the game, and they probably should have had a goal in the second minute of the game. Dotson had a splitting pass between Glesnes and Elliott, putting Amaria one-on-one on goal, but Glesnes did enough to recover, and Andre Blake was there to cover just in case. And I'll talk about Andre Blake here in a little bit, but that could have been a scary moment for the Philadelphia Union. I mean, fans were eager to get back into the stadium after what happened last season against New York City, and to see the Philadelphia Union concede a goal in the second minute of the game, that would not have been good for Philadelphia Union fans. And I think if we would have seen the Philadelphia Union concede that early on, Minnesota United definitely would have bunkered down, and it would have been an extremely, extremely tough game for the Philadelphia Union. So luckily the Philadelphia Union didn't give up that goal. And I think as this game went on, especially in the second half when Jim made his subs, I don't think any of the subs made any kind of impact. You bring in Jack McGlynn for more offense, but in my opinion, he didn't make much of a difference out there. Paxton Aronson wasn't really able to get going either in this game. I know he had a shot that was blocked by Cory Burke or Sergio Santos. I forget who. Paxton's shot looked like it was going to be going on target, but his own guy gets in the way of it, and obviously don't know what would have happened because it his own guy. Sergio Santos got his head to a ball, but that wasn't close to going in. Great delivery by Kai Wagner, which again, I'll give my thoughts on deliveries because wasn't the best, and I'll give you guys some stats on the crosses, not the corner kicks, but the actual crosses from open play. Wasn't great. But then again, just talking about Sergio Santos, I do got to give Sergio Santos full credit for literally getting off of a flight from Chile Saturday morning, being ready to play 15 minutes. I mean, how many players can you say are going to be ready where you have jet lag probably, you're changing time zones, you're away from the team for a little bit because you were getting a green card. Yeah, I saw Sergio Santos was posting him just staying in shape, which is great. But you hadn't been with the team for about a week and everything. And literally coming off a plane in the day of a game from another country and playing 15 minutes, I mean, just major props to Sergio Santos. And for me, I think between the Philadelphia Union for Minnesota United, I think the best player on the field was one of the new players that Minnesota United signed this season. That was Kacper Pryzbylko, the Honduran. I talked about that with Kendra, where I said, yeah, as the season goes on, Kacper could potentially fill in for Ozzy Alonso. But look, Will Trapp didn't get the start. He wasn't even on the bench for Minnesota United in this game. Not really sure what was up with that, especially when he was playing in preseason. I guess maybe he picked up a little bit of an injury or something, but Kacper was thrown straight into that starting 11. And for me, he was the best player on the field. He had 2 out of 2 tackles, 1 versus dribblers, 11 ball recoveries, 1 interception, 22 pressures, 38 out of 44 completed passes. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic as a holding midfielder for Minnesota United. And he had a free kick that hit the crossbar, which he was unlucky not to see that go in. He had Andre Blake beat. He had a rocket of a shot outside of the box, hit El Brujo right in the chest. Props to Jose for just taking that for the team. But yeah, Kacper Pryzbylko, best player on the field for me. And I know people might say Robin Lod because he scored a goal, or Cory Burke. But yeah, for a guy who I did not expect to start this game for Minnesota United, did not know a lot about, yeah, this guy really caught my attention in this game. And I think if he plays like that all season for Minnesota United, I don't think he's going to be in MLS for that long, honestly, in my opinion. And I know another thing that caught my attention were, at first I thought the Union were really poor at corners, but then after like the second or third one, I was like, okay, it's obvious something that the Philadelphia Union studied in their scouting report that made the Philadelphia Union take the corner kicks towards the near post every single time, where Ali, we've seen him in the past, always flick the ball on. He's good at doing it, and as the game went on, Minnesota United would put 2 players on the near post to make sure the Philadelphia Union couldn't get that ball in. The Philadelphia Union were still getting the head to the ball the first time, and they had 11 corners in this game, and yeah, goal did come from a missed clearance from Minnesota United after they get the ball out, and then the Philadelphia Union press, get the ball back, and Glessens puts a great ball in. And again, I'll break down what I saw from that play here in a little bit. But 11 corners, to not score any goal off of that many corners, yeah, it's a little bit concerning for me, but I don't think the service was as bad as maybe some fans thought it was, because the Philadelphia Union weren't going to keep going near post if it wasn't something they saw in the scouting report. So yeah, it's something that they obviously saw and they couldn't take advantage of and get a goal off of it. And yeah, just at first I thought, okay, yeah, what is up with Kai Wagner's deliveries into the box is really bad. And then after the second and third, like I said, I was like, okay, yeah, this is obviously something they studied for. But this is what Jim Curtin had to say. His thoughts on the first game for the Philadelphia Union, what could have went better, what went bad, and what they hope to have fixed for the second game.
As an entire group, coaches, players, we all know that wasn't our best today. Again, in a lot of ways, it looks like the first game of the season. Guys are anxious, guys are excited, and in some ways, I thought in the first half, again, it's no fault of the players, but we were so willing to run extra for each other that we were almost out of position a lot. And we gave Minnesota, who has quality players, some too much time and space, and good players hurt you and punish you. So I think, after the jitters kind of settled in and the first game, I thought the last 15 minutes of the half, we started to look like ourselves. Second half was improved. But overall, you saw a lot of mistakes, a lot of silly turnovers, things that we know we need to clean up. I think we know we need to be better with. And again, in some ways, it's early in the season, so I won't overreact. But it's good to get humbled and recognize it's not going to be that we just step on the field and have an easy time, because the other teams are very talented in this league as well. So overall, not our best. Still, the players put in a ton of work. They fought hard, but it did have the look of your first game of the season, where not great. Things we can work on, things we can improve. We know that. We'll get to work this week and make sure that it's better next week. Again, thank you to the fans who came out and supported us on a cold day. Still a point, so we won't get too emotional here. But overall, we move on to the next week.
Again, it's a point. Jim Curtin said it, and I think fans that are already freaking out on social media. It's like, come on. Like, do you guys have nothing better to do? You guys were complaining about, like, the season's taking forever to start. Then you guys are complaining about, Philadelphia Union choked it at home against Minnesota. They should have got all 3 points. I saw one fan say, apparently, that another guy they were talking to in the stadium said Jim Curtin out after the game. Like, are you serious? Like, I thought we're past that, but obviously some fans feel otherwise. But I feel like those type of fans, there's nothing you can do to convince them otherwise. One thing I do want to mention, though, is I think Julian Carranza and Daniel Gazdag, they were both fouled a lot in this game. And I think that was a big part of Minnesota United's game plan, was to foul the Philadelphia Union, to throw them off how they want to play. It's like, okay, we're not going to make this easy for you guys. Yeah, you guys are playing at home, but we're not going to give you any time and space. As soon as you guys get on the ball, we're going to foul you. Minnesota United had 16 fouls compared to the Philadelphia Union's 12. Minnesota had 3 yellow cards compared to the Union's 2. But yeah, I think that's just the way it's going to be this season at home. Teams are going to come in and rough up the Philadelphia Union, and it's what we as fans need to expect. It's what the players need to expect, that, teams are just going to sit back and, like I said, just hit the Philadelphia Union on the counterattack. But moving on, I want to go ahead and talk about my keys to the game. I want to go ahead and review them. So if you didn't listen to last episode, I said point number 1, don't give Reynoso time on the ball. I think that's a pass, but it definitely could have been a fail with Reynoso having 2 key passes, 5 completed passes in the final third of the pitch, and 4 completed passes inside the 18-yard box. Reynoso had 79 touches of the ball, with only 33 of those coming in the final third, and he was dispossessed 3 times. So to have 79 touches, that's a lot of touches of the ball, but where he's most effective is in that final third, setting up chances for his teammates. And he only had 33 touches, but he did have 4 completed passes inside the 18-yard box, where Minnesota probably should have been putting at least one of their chances away, and they didn't. Credit to the Philadelphia Union for doing enough to either block shots, to dispossess Minnesota of the ball, to send Minnesota off balance where they couldn't get a shot on target. So the Philadelphia Union did enough to keep Reynoso silent in this game, and it's hard for me to say silent when he had 79 touches of the ball, but he didn't do anything that hurt the Philadelphia Union. Nothing on the stat sheet popped out, meaning an assist or a goal, but he did have 2 key passes, and if Minnesota would have finished some of those chances, then that definitely could have been a fail. Number 2, I said take chances from outside the box. I think for me that is a pass. The Philadelphia Union took 9 shots from outside the box this game against Minnesota, with only 2 of those shots on target. Leon Flock and Daniel Gazdag were the only 2 guys who had shots on target from outside the box. You do want to see the Philadelphia Union just putting shots in general on target. They had 19 shots in this game, I believe, only 5 on target. They had 7 block shots, by the way. Minnesota blocked 7 shots, ton of block shots. So you hope the Philadelphia Union can start putting more balls on target, especially when they take shots from outside the box. Because again, if you guys didn't listen to the last episode, I talked about the Philadelphia Union being crucial in 2020 shooting from outside the box. So definitely want to see the Philadelphia Union again just get back to putting the ball in the back of the net from outside the 18. But yeah, just to see them take 9 shots from outside the box, definitely a pass in my opinion. And then point number 3, I said create chances from the wings. This for me is a pass because they did have a lot of crosses from the wings, but it's also a fail too, because if you go ahead and look, Pryzbylko was terrible with his service on crosses into the box. He was 1 for 8. Kai Wagner was 7 for 17. That's not good enough in my opinion, especially from Pryzbylko, where maybe the Philadelphia Union decided, okay, we're going to go down Kai's side a little bit more now, because just nothing Pryzbylko sends into the box is reaching anybody's head. So let's go ahead and cross from Kai's side. And again, just the first game of the season, so it's really hard for me to be super critical. But You do want to see Bizo get better with his deliveries in the box. You do want to see him get better in 1v1 defending. Again, I'll break down that play here in a little bit. My 3 players of the game for the Philadelphia Union, again, something new that I'm doing. I don't know if I'll do that every episode, but I think number 1 was Cory Burke. Got the Union's only goal. I think he worked really hard off the ball. He had 19 pressures in this game. He had 1 block, 1 clearance. So not only did he get the goal, but he was working his tail off defensively, and he had a really, really huge game. Yeah, I think Cory Burke's probably still the 4th striker on this team if everybody's healthy, but at least okay, we have a player, when he comes off the bench, he's going to work his tail off defensively. If he starts, we know he's going to work hard. So, I mean, having Cory Burke, and now especially Cory Burke with a green card, just adds that much more value. And happy to see Cory Burke get the first goal for the Philadelphia Union and just work really, really hard for the team. Number 2, I think it was Jose Martinez. He was 2 for 5 on tackles. In my opinion, that has to be better, especially where we're so used to this guy winning the ball back every single time. It seems like he's going in at a player. He had 5 interceptions, 18 ball recoveries, 51 out of 59 completed passes, which was the best passing percentage for the Philadelphia Union, the most completed passes as well for the Philadelphia Union. So really seeing him control things from the number 6, fantastic. Just seeing him distribute the ball long, trying to start Philadelphia Union attacks. It was nice seeing him take on players one-on-one with dribbling. And number 3 is Andre Blake, 5 saves. And what else has to be said about Andre Blake? He made a crucial save in the 90th minute where Anu was looking to be one-on-one with the goalkeeper, shoots from distance. Andre Blake makes a great save. And Maria had a couple shots where, if it's not Andre Blake in goal, those are probably going in. So Andre Blake was the 3rd star for me, and I do have to give a honorable mention to Julian Araujo. I thought, just like Cory Burke, he worked extremely hard off the ball. 2 out of 4 tackles won, 2 out of 2 tackles won versus dribblers. He was 3rd on the team with 21 pressures. He had only 1 shot in this game, and the Philadelphia Union needed to do a better job getting him involved. I know some people are probably like, okay, well, why wasn't Julian as involved in this game? And I think 1, probably nerves. New team wants to impress right away for his team, especially at home. And then 2, I just think Philadelphia Union are still building that chemistry with Julian Araujo. But regardless of him scoring a goal or not, just to see him work his tail off defensively, and this is what he was sold as to us Philadelphia Union fans, a striker that's going to work his tail off defensively. And did he do that and more? Absolutely. And this is what Jim Curtin had to say about Julian Araujo's debut.
Maybe didn't get him the ball enough. I think he got fouled a lot today. Always had someone hanging off of him, it felt like. And look, the game didn't have a lot of flow to it. I think you guys could feel that too. So it was, it was a goal. It would be goal kick, out of bounds, foul, altercations, delays. It kind of was disjointed. There wasn't a ton of flow. So neither team really ever got into a good rhythm. And I would say either team could have stole the game at any point. We could have won today. We could have lost. So a draw you take and you move on. But Julian overall put in the work, had a couple half chances that maybe he could he'd like to have back. But overall, yeah, good performance for him. The key is not having him put too much pressure on himself, that he needs to score every game. If he does the work defensively, if he does the things we see in training every day in the attack, we know he's going to get his goals. So overall, yeah, decent, but it can always be better.
Look, that's a plus, right? Because Jim Curtin never said anything good about Matthias Daver last season, and he's already saying that he's doing a good job scoring goals in training. Never heard Jim Curtin say that last year about Daver, so that's a plus in my book already. But yeah, I think no pressure on Julian Araujo, and I think he'll come good for this team, and hopefully him and Mikhail Ua can have a great partnership going forward, and hopefully we see a lot of goals between the both of those guys and Daniel Gazda going forward for the rest of the season. But like I said to you guys, I want to break down the goals from my perspective, how I saw it. So the first goal that the Philadelphia Union give up, the Philadelphia Union foul Minnesota United. They get a restart, in the defensive half. They take the ball out to the left back. The left back plays a long ball over the top to Fragapane. Fragapane beats Pryzbylko. Pryzbylko recovers, and then he gets beat once again. He stumbled, it looked like. And because of that, then Jacob Glesnes has to come out and cover for Pryzbylko once he stumbles. And that means that Jack Elliott is now defending Amaria in the box, which is fine and everything. And then Kai Wagner should be aware of the run coming behind him from Robin Lod. He is not aware of that, and it's not Kai Wagner's fault, in my opinion. I think it's really, really hard to blame the whole defense for this because, again, Jacob Glesnes gets pulled out of position to try to cover for Pryzbylko's mistake. Pryzbylko should have never got beat on this play, but, we've seen it happen last season. Unfortunately, we saw it happen in the African Cup of Nations, and Fragapane gets the cutback, and Robin Lod's unmarked, and makes it a 1-0 Minnesota game. But not only that from Pryzbylko in this game, Pryzbylko in the second half of the game had a throw-in, threw it into empty space. No Philadelphia Union player was there. The closest player to the ball was a Minnesota United player. The Minnesota United player picks up the ball and has yards of space to run into. Luckily, the Philadelphia Union didn't concede on that, but this is a play where the Philadelphia Union fans knew that it wasn't good enough, that they were booing, and they're like, come on, that's just simple mental mistakes. And I do think that is a lot of Pryzbylko's issues is it's all mentally for him. And I don't want to say he's a bad defender, but it seems like there's just moments in games where he's just checked out for a few seconds defensively. And those few seconds are everything. You saw it in this goal that he gave up. I mean, the ball over the top from the left back to Fragapane. There's no reason why Pryzbylko should have got beat by that. He should have closed it down a lot better. He went straight for the ball, and Fragapane takes an excellent touch and puts it right by Pryzbylko. Now he's dribbling towards the goal, and Pryzbylko thought he was going to cut it, but no, he takes the ball to his left and everything, still going towards goal and everything. Now, I guess the good thing is Pryzbylko was sending him towards the end line, which is where you want to send the player. But because of this, like I said, Jacob Glesnes already committed to Pryzbylko's mistake, so Jacob Glesnes is out of the play. Jack Elliott's on Amaria. Okay, that's fine. But Kai Wagner is completely unaware that Robin Lod is free in the box. And it's a one-time finish, great finish. And the Philadelphia Union go down. So just want to see Pryzbylko be checked on a little bit better defensively going forward. Again, don't want to get on this guy too much, but I know we've seen it multiple times, and it's like, how many more chances are you going to give this guy until you start Nate Harriel? I don't know. Can't be many, in my opinion. But for the goal, the Philadelphia Union have a corner. They go near post again. Ali Bedoya wins the header. Potentially a handball against Minnesota United. The referee says no. They go to clear the ball out. It only goes to the top of the 18, where Pryzbylko's right there to put pressure on Reynoso, which is great. And so he's forcing Reynoso to go back towards his goal inside the 18-yard box. And by the time that Pryzbylko does that, here comes Jacob Glesnes now pressuring the ball. And so Jacob Glesnes, I believe, gets a touch on the ball. And because of that, the ball falls to Leon Flock. Flock is then able to get the ball, send it to Kai Wagner. Kai Wagner is then able to pass the ball to Jacob Glesnes, who's in space, and plays a beautiful cross across the box. I mean, Cory Burke had a defender on him, but because Jacob Glesnes put so much pace on that ball, Jack Elliott takes one of the defenders out of this, and it leaves a defender one-on-one with Daniel Gazog. The ball goes by them, which then puts another defender one-on-one with Cory Burke, and Cory Burke's able to beat the defender. Tyler Miller comes out to try to claim the cross from Jacob Glesnes, isn't able to get the ball, and Cory Burke has a free header into the box. But yeah, just to see the Philadelphia Union, okay, nothing comes from the corner kick. Minnesota United halfway clear it, but Pryzbylko puts pressure onto Reynoso, which was excellent. Glesnes is coming on to put pressure on as well, which forces the turnover. And just to see the Philadelphia Union work that ball fast and know that, okay, look, yeah, we turned this ball over on the corner kick, but we can still make something happen. And just because the corner didn't work out didn't mean that, okay, we still can't get another cross into this box. But again, just going back to the deliveries from Pryzbylko and Kai Wagner, I mean, thank goodness Glesnes was able to put in a great delivery, but we shouldn't be relying on service from a center back. It's got to be better service from Pryzbylko. It's got to be better service on crosses from Kai Wagner. But again, just nothing to panic about, in my opinion. And fortunately for the Philadelphia Union, they were able to get a goal and have this game tied 1-1 going into halftime. And it overall ended 1-1. But we'll take a point, and I do want to go over a blunder of the week. I know I haven't done this for a while now, and if you guys have a blunder of the week you want me to bring up, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at FreeKickPod, and I'll bring up a blunder of the week that has to do with soccer. It doesn't have to be MLS. It can be anything that involves soccer. It can be rec soccer. It can be, indoor soccer. It can be your own personal game. Whatever you think was a good blunder of the week, send it my way, and I'll choose the best blunder of the week for the week, and we'll see what makes it. But blunder of the week goes to this week during the LA Galaxy and New York City game. New York City get a corner kick. Julian Araujo of LA Galaxy grabs onto Chanot, it looked like. Grabbed onto his face during the corner kick. VAR doesn't look at it. New York City are like, hey, look, our guy's getting held back. Tavon Gray was also getting obstructed too on this corner kick. So there was potentially 2 fouls on this play where New York City, in my opinion, should have had a penalty kick and a red card for sure for Julian. But the referee doesn't look at it at all. Nothing comes of it. And New York City are fuming. And then the 90th minute, LA Galaxy go on to win this game 1-0 because of Chicharito Hernandez. But yeah, I do think New York City were hard done by this play. I think Tati Castellanos looked excellent in this game. And this guy, look, the Philadelphia Union play New York City here in a couple weeks. And there's a guy who didn't get to play against the Philadelphia Union in the Eastern Conference Final. I think he's going to be ready to play against the Philadelphia Union. He loves scoring against the Philadelphia Union. And I can't wait for that game. But we do know that the next game we have up is Montreal Impact. So not going to talk about what's going to happen in the New York City game. Not going to talk about the San Jose game. Going to leave all those thoughts for the next couple of episodes. But look, hopefully you guys enjoy the game Saturday against Minnesota. Hopefully you guys enjoy this podcast. And yeah, for that one listener, I shouldn't have mentioned anything, but I am going to mention it. Why go out of your way and leave a review that just says, yeah, it's a good podcast, but he says Philadelphia Union way too much. And sorry that you don't like me saying the word Philadelphia Union a lot. And I guess I shouldn't have said anything, right? Because that means that you got to me. But I don't know. I don't know why you listen to Philadelphia Union podcast where it's a Philadelphia Union podcast. Of course, I'm going to say Philadelphia Union, but obviously for that listener, I say Philadelphia Union way too much. I know I probably said it at least 50 times this episode, and if there are more people out there that don't like me saying Philadelphia Union, look, I'm sorry. There's a lot that that I get mad about myself on this podcast about, a lot that could be better, but for the most part, it seems like people enjoy it, and I really appreciate people listening every single week. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at FreeKickPod. Wherever you get your podcast, they're Free Kick. And yeah, don't be afraid to leave a review, what you like about the podcast, what you don't like about the podcast. Always looking to improve, except for saying Philadelphia Union 50 times per episode. But until the next episode, which is a preview for Montreal Impact, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.